Good morning, everybody. Today we are doing Chapter 9, Lesson 2. So if you could turn your books to Chapter 9, Lesson 2, we're going to be taking a look at how to add like fractions. But before we get there, I want you to think about those three words, add, like, fractions. So we're going to be adding, simple enough, right? What does it mean to have a like fraction? What they mean by like fraction is that you have the same denominator. You won't have to change any denominators. So that's what makes adding like fractions so much easier than adding unlike fractions. So today's assignment, hopefully you will find pretty simple to follow along. We've done some of these in our daily lessons. So if you need to pause the video to get to the Chapter 9 Lesson 2 page, go ahead and do that. I'm just going to quickly go through these and get to the right page here. So how do you add like fractions? Well, it does seem pretty simple. It says, what does it mean for a fraction to be in simplest form? We're going to look at that. What is a mixed number? Refresh your memories on that. What's an improper fraction? So what does it mean to have something in simplest form? Remember that when the greatest common factor is 1, you're done. So you have notes on greatest common factor. You made little booklets. Hopefully those are with your things at home. What is a mixed number? Also in your booklet, you had a number that's a whole number and a fraction. So if you think about when things are mixed up, it has a whole number and a fraction. So something like 1 1/2 would be a mixed number. And improper fractions when the numerator is greater than or equal to the denominator. So 8/8 would be an improper fraction because the numerator is 8, the denominator is 8. That makes it improper. We know that 8/8 is equal to 1. And then also something like 3/2. 3 is greater than 2, which makes it an improper fraction. So just refreshing your memory on those definitions, and we have talked about all of these things already. So taking a look at investigating the math, it said Joy mowed 1/6 of her lawn on Saturday. She mowed 3/6 on Sunday. How much of her lawn has Joy mowed altogether? I'm thinking that Joy either has a really large lawn or maybe she got interrupted by rain or something because she's not done yet. So it says to find the sum of the two fractions, you add the numerators. So the numerators in this case is the 1 and the 3. So you simply add those, 1 plus 3. I know you guys know that's 4. Your denominator stays the same. It doesn't say add the denominators here. No. It says add only the numerators. Your fraction is going to be 4/6. Ooh, I don't know why that showed up. That's weird. Let me go back. I don't know why that's there. But anyway, so your answer is 4/6. And then to write that in simplest form, the greatest common factor is 2. So you would divide by 2. I wish I could write on this, but I can't. 4/6 divided by 2 is 2/3. So Joy has mowed 2/3 of her lawn altogether. She's got a whole third to go yet. I don't know why that's doing that. Oh, there it goes. So there's your answers. So we got 4/6, and 4/6 is equal to 2/3, and she's mowed 2/3 of her lawn altogether. So again, really big lawn or interrupted by rain. Okay, adding 5/8 plus 2/8 plus 7/8. It says write the sum. When we're talking about the sum, we're talking about adding the sum in simplest form. So you're adding the numerators. Again, the denominator stays the same. So you're going to have a denominator of 8, and you're simply going to add the numerators. 5 plus 2 plus 7. Hopefully you're out there yelling 14. So your answer would be 14/8. And then, I don't know why it's doing that. That's really weird. So you got 14/8. And then we need to write that in simplest form. So right now it's an improper fraction. 14/8. 14 is larger than 8. How many times does 8 go into 14? 1 time, with 6 left over. Denominator stayed the same. So we did this a couple of different ways. Let me see if I can write on here. It says writing tool. So let me see if I can do this. So we know, oh, I can. This is so cool. 14 divided by 8. 8 goes into 14 1 time. When you subtract that, you have 6 left over. So when you look at this this mixed number over here. The 1 is your whole number. It went in one whole time. You had 6 pieces left over out of the 8 that you were dividing it into. So that's where those numbers come from. So you might want to stop the video and maybe just refresh your memories on where those numbers come from. And then 6/8 is not in simplest form. So think about, okay, what are they dividing by here to get to 3/4? Well, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's the greatest common factor, and that's what you're dividing by. So let me erase some of my work off of here. It's almost like being at school, right? Mrs. May having trouble with erasing. Shocker. How fun is that? Hopefully I'm giving you a little humor as you're sitting at home by yourselves doing your math homework. All right, let's close that up. Math in my world. Those are some really ugly octopuses, but here we go. The length across the bell or top of it's a mushroom jellyfish, is about 5/6 of a foot. If 2 mushroom jellyfish were placed side by side, what would be the combined length? In other words, you're finding 5/6 plus 5/6. I do enjoy the picture of the face. So think about, what have we learned? We don't add the denominators, we only add what? That's right, the numerators. So we've got 5/6 plus 5/6, which hopefully you wrote. There's a couple of different ways that they're showing you to do this, where we've got these tiles, where we have 5/6 here plus another 5/6 is going to give you how many 1/6 tiles? How many 1/6 tiles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You guys know to add. 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. So this shows that the fraction 10/6, wow, they jumped really quick to 1 2/3. How did they get there? So we're going to talk about that in a minute. The other way is just to add the numerators, keep the denominator the same. You come up with 10/6. It says to write it as a mixed number in simplest form. And you're like, wait, time out, because they didn't show you something. How did they get to 2/3? 10 divided by 6. All right, goes in one time. There'd be 4 left over. So why didn't they write 1 4/6? They wrote 1 2/3. What are you guys thinking? If you said they divided by 2, you are absolutely right. So they divided by 2 and they got 1 2/3. 4 divided by 2 is 2 and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Those of you shouting out the answers, good for you. Mrs. May found the bigger eraser. Woohoo! So here are your answers. There are 10 1/6 tiles. It is 1 2/3 feet. And also when you do it this way, when you just add the numerators and keep your denominator the same, you get 1 2/3 feet. Example 2. The table shows how much of a book Teddy read each day. What fraction of the book did Teddy read altogether on Tuesday and Thursday? Tuesday and Thursday. So on Tuesday, Teddy read 4/10. On Thursday, he read 2/10. So we're looking at 4/10 and 2/10. Sweet. So they said, okay, so let me back up. So 4/10 plus 2/10, because we want to know what it was all together. That the all together means you're going to be adding things. So you got 4/10 plus 2/10. 4 plus 2 is 6. Writing it in simplest form. What did they divide by to get there? 2 again. All right. So Teddy read 3/5 of the book on Tuesday and Thursday. So they show you right here how they got to that 3/5. They didn't always show you on the other pages how to get there. But if you flip back to your greatest common factor section of your flip books, there was a step-by-step that I gave you in instructions on how to do that. Or you can always Google how to find simplest form, and there are plenty of videos out there for you to look at. Guided practice, here we go. So again, write the sum in simplest form. Well, here's a clue. They didn't give you a second answer like they did here. So that's a really big clue right there that there's only one answer. So denominator stays the same of 7. 1 plus 3 is 4. Very good. 4 is your denominator here. 1 plus 1 is 2, but 2/4 is not in simplest form. So 2 can be divided by 2, 4 can be divided by 2. So your simplest form answer is 1/2. So again, look at your greatest common factor. What is the biggest number that they have in common that are factors of the numbers 4 and 2? Those are the numbers that you're looking at, 4 and 2. So independent practice, this is where it's your turn. So adding, make sure your denominator stays the same. You're only dealing with the numerators when you're adding. You may have to change the denominator if you're simplifying though. If you are simplifying an answer, yes, you have to change that denominator. But if we are just adding and it's already in simplest form, then you don't need to worry about it. And I will tell you on this page, there is only one that is already in simplest form. The rest of them, the other two, you will have to find simplest form. Nope, not going to tell you which two. Have a great day, guys.